Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. We're so glad you could join us for our presentation today by AmaWaterways. I'm excited to introduce you shortly to Marcy New, who is our amazing AmaWaterways representative that we've gotten to know extremely well over the years. We think of her as family, and she's a very close friend of mine personally, and we just love her dearly. I fortunately had the opportunity to go on AmaWaterways on the Christmas markets cruise on the Danube about 3 years ago and was completely blown away. I've had the opportunity to also cruise with several other river cruise lines, and when you compare Ama to the others, they definitely stand apart. And you'll hear all about that today during our presentation, but some of the things that specifically impressed me was just the over-the-top service. I felt very much VIP from the moment I stepped on board the ship, and they put less people on their ships than some of the other guys, and so you really do get that upgraded level of service based on the attention that you receive. And the room categories are ingenious. The designer, which I'm sure we'll talk about this as well, just came up with an incredible plan when he created these ships. And so we've got these double balconies where you can sit either indoors or outdoors, and so have the French balcony or the outdoor balcony experience, which I loved that aspect of it. The bathrooms were gorgeous and, in my opinion, very spacious. I mean, they're very limited with the space on board these ships, so they have to get very creative. And their ships have been built a little more uniquely than others in that they are able to travel when the water levels are not ideal in all situations, when other guys can't quite make it through. A lot of times the Amish ships are able to do that. And food, fantastic, over the top. Just in the afternoon, they have a complimentary happy hour, which is one of my favorite times of the day. So we absolutely enjoyed that, and the complimentary bikes on board, and the activities and excursions, the tour guides were all top notch. So from this point here, I'm going to pass you over to Marcy, and Marcy, I'm going to have you take it away.
Thank you so much, Cassie. I appreciate that. Good evening, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. We are so excited that you're here, and we're excited that you want to learn more about the beautiful destination of Egypt. So Todd and I are going to host this evening. I'm not going to turn it over to him quite yet because there's a couple of things I want to tell you. And that is that we were so excited probably 6 weeks ago, we opened up Egypt as a new exotic destination for us at AmaWaterways. And already to date, we are 75% sold out for 2021, and we don't start sailing in 2021 until September. And then for 2022, we are filling very, very quickly. So obviously, there's a lot of us out there that want to go visit this beautiful exotic destination. My reason for sharing that information is because I don't want you to wait a long time to start your planning. Right now is the time to plan for your future vacation. Also, I wanted to tell you about something we have that really will help protect your vacation investment. And that is that we offer an insurance program that is canceled for any reason. And I think that's super important in today's world, or in any world, to be quite honest, because your vacation dollars are important to us. We offer it at a very nominal fee. If you buy our whole insurance package, it's only $80. If you choose just to buy the portion that is canceled for any reason, it's only $175 a person, and it protects all of your dollars up to 48 hours before you go. So as we're talking about this beautiful destination and when you want to plan your vacation, I wanted to make sure that you knew all about that program. Again, thank you, and I'm going to introduce Todd Ney as our amazing project manager for Egypt. He is our expert in this field and an expert on this destination. Todd, it's all yours. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you, Marcy. Hi, my name is Todd. I'm talking to you from Los Angeles today, and we put this Egypt program together. Mostly we worked a lot of last year and into this year, and the first thing I'm going to show you is basically the location of Egypt. You can see that it's in the northeastern location of Africa, with the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea to the north. And on this map, you can see Cairo, Luxor, with the planes flying between, Aswan. You also see on the map a place called Abu Simbel. Just pay attention to that, and I'll come up and let you know more about that as we work our way through. And then also on this map, I just wanted to point out Israel, Jordan, and the UAE or Dubai, because we'll talk about those destinations later on in this presentation. Those are pre and post options that you can do before your Egypt program or after your Egypt program. So basically, the itinerary we have in Egypt is a 11-night, 12-day itinerary. You'll start with 3 nights in Cairo, and after 3 nights in Cairo, we're going to fly down to Luxor. The flight to Luxor takes about an hour, and we'll board our new ship, the AmaDahlia, in Luxor. We have our own private dock in Luxor, and then you'll cruise the Nile for 7 nights, and then we'll fly back to Cairo for 1 additional night. Just so you know, when we don't start sailing until September of 2021, and we'll sail right through to December, and then we'll do January through June of 2022, and then September through December of 2022. All right, the first thing I want to point out is Cairo, because this is where you're going to start. Cairo is a massive city, 23 million people. Cairo is an Arabic word, it means conqueror. And the Nile does flow through the heart of Cairo. The Nile itself is, well, depending on where you look, is the longest river in the world, 4,300 miles. Starts off with the Blue Nile and the White Nile way up in Uganda and on Lake Victoria, and then flows down into the Mediterranean. Weekends in Egypt, just a few little fun facts, are Fridays and Saturdays, as opposed to Saturday and Sunday here in North America. It's actually the Egyptians are also the ones that came up with the 365-day-a-year calendar. And Egypt was founded about 3100 BC, and Cairo, like I said, it was a massive city. It was actually had a population of about 500,000 people way back in the 14th century. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is talk about our new ship. It's called the AmaDahlia. Dahlia is a flower that's native to Egypt. The ship itself will come with 18 cabins and 16 suites. There are 3 levels. The ship itself is, in Egypt, you cannot bring a new boat onto the Nile. So what we've had to do is rebuild. We've purchased the ship, and we've scraped it down to its hull. If you looked at it right now, it's in the shipyard in Cairo. It looks like a skeleton, and we're rebuilding it from bottom to top to make it a 5-star ship. Kind of like the way, if you've taken our cruises in Europe, very similar model. Same with our ship in the Mekong. And let me just show you the layout about the. Okay, here's the deck plan of the ship, and you can see they're named after flowers or plants of Egypt. The bottom deck is the acacia, then we go to the lotus, lily, jasmine, and then we have the sun deck on the top. The bottom deck, the acacia deck, these are our standard cabins, 196 square feet. They come with a picture window. And then as you work your way up, the rooms get larger. If you look in category, the purple category, category C, those are rooms of 226 square feet, and they come with a French balcony. And then as you work your way up, the suites, the green, the turquoise, the blue, and the pink, those come with a French balcony and or a full balcony. You work your way up a little more, and well, actually you'll find the main restaurant on the lily deck, and work your way up a little more, you'll see some of the amenities our ship will have. Fitness room, we'll have a massage room, we'll have a hair and nail salon. We'll also have a wellness coach. So for those that want to do yoga in the morning and stuff, that'll be available for you up on the top deck. And then you look on the top deck, you'll find there's also a bar and a swimming pool. And also I should tell you that there is an elevator on the ship, and it'll work all the way from the acacia deck up to the jasmine deck. And there's stairs up onto the sun deck. And I did name the jasmine deck kind of like the top deck, just because there's like 6 jasmines in my office. And I figured that if I didn't name it Jasmine, I'd get in a lot of trouble. So I did that. Number of passengers, 68 passengers, and a crew of about 62. All right, here's a picture of the top deck with the swimming pool. And you can see it does get warm in Cairo. It's dry, so it's often sunny. In fact, when I was in Egypt the last time I was running around Egypt with our Egyptologist, Dina, and we were on the Luxor on the ship, and it was just so dry, and the hills, it's sand and stuff like that. And I said to Dina, when was the last time it rained here? And she looked at me like kind of stunned. And she goes, I don't know, 17, 19 years ago. So it doesn't rain very often. And it was, to her, it was just a silly question. It can rain in Cairo in the wintertime, but not very often. Those are showers that you see next to the swimming pool. Those are circular things. And you can see we have the shade in the lounge if you want to sit up on the top deck. Now, these are just renderings. We're just finalizing the style and and furniture and so on the AmaDahlia, but this will just give you an idea of what the entrances look like.
Beautiful.
This is the lounge, or the bar. And I should say we will, like we do in Europe, we have our sip and sail happy hour, which will start in the late afternoon for an hour and a half or so, just before dinner. Also in the lounge, after dinner, we will have celebrations or shows and stuff like that. We'll have things like a Galabaya show or Galabaya party, and that's when you all dress up in the local clothing, and I'll show you something of what the Egyptians like to wear. The long white, kind of like, they look like white sheets, blankets and stuff like that. And actually they wear white in this part of the world because it does reflect the heat. We'll do something called a Darawis show, which is like folk music and cultural heritage. We'll even have a captain's cocktail party in the lounge. This is the restaurant, and in Egypt we will be able to cater to different things. Gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, dairy-free. That won't be an issue. And we'll also, with all our meals, lunch and dinner, we'll always include beer and wine. It's complimentary. Wine in Egypt is, well, yes, they have vineyards in Egypt, but they split those grapes from the vineyards in Egypt with grapes that are imported from South Africa. They mix it all up and they come up with their local Egyptian wine. So that'll be included for lunches and dinners. And of course, just a sample picture of the types of food, very similar. Our ships are going to be managed by management from our European ships. So we're going to try to bring the same standards that we do in Europe with our ships in Egypt and what we do in the Mekong. And the food itself, a lot of it will be imported from Europe, and we will feature, well, they're still working on the final menus and stuff, but it'll be Egyptian, which is like Mediterranean type food, as well as continental, or what we're familiar with in North America. Here's a picture of the suites, 2 beds or 1 bed. You have the choice. The suites also come with a sitting area. You can see on the top right-hand side, and then down on the bottom. The suites also come with, of course, well, all the rooms come with a on-demand TV, and all the rooms will, of course, have complimentary Wi-Fi. This is just the sitting lounge in one of the suites. Again, 16 of the 34 rooms on the ship are suites. And here's the bathroom in the suites. They come with a full tub and a shower. And I didn't know this until maybe just a few weeks ago, but it is important to a lot of people. The sinks will come with, or so the bathrooms will come in all the suites with 2 sinks. So, okay, so what I'm going to do, that's a little look at our new ship, the AmaDahlia. Now I'm going to tell you more about what you're going to do on the itinerary. So you're going to fly from North America. You're going to get to Cairo. Most flights arrive late afternoon or in the early evening. So we're going to meet you at the airport. We'll escort you through immigration and customs, and then we'll transfer you to the hotel. You don't need to purchase air through AMA or anything. Everyone gets a transfer to the hotel. A lot of people ask, do you need a visa for Egypt? The answer is yes. The cost is $25, and you apply for that visa online maybe about a month before you're about to leave, and you'll get a confirmation within a couple of days, and you print up the piece of paper, and they'll show it to the customs officials when you arrive in Cairo. You can get it on arrival, but it'll slow down the process of getting you through. And so we'll transfer you to the hotel. The hotel we use in Cairo is the Four Seasons at the First Residence. This is a beautiful hotel, just got renovated. It's across the street from the Botanical Gardens. You can see that over on the right-hand side. Comes with about 200 rooms. And you'll arrive at the hotel late evening and stuff like that. We don't plan anything for the first night because of the late arrivals, and you'll head up to your room and get a good night's sleep. Let's just show you what the rooms look like here. Oh, I should tell you that the Four Seasons, this hotel, it's located about a mile south of the central core district of Cairo. It's a lot of chaos out there. You probably wouldn't even go out. There's traffic, you know, all over the place and stuff. So we chose this hotel because of it's a place of tranquility or peacefulness in a city of chaos, and it does overlook the river, keeps kind of with our river theme. The Four Seasons, this hotel at the First Residence, if you go on TripAdvisor, you'll find it as rated as the #1 hotel in Cairo. The rooms that we use, they will be the superior partial Nile view rooms, and they range in size from about 480 to 510 square feet. And you can see all the rooms will have a partial Nile view. We tend to stay on the higher levels of the hotel, and what's kind of complimentary Wi-Fi in the rooms. And for those that know their music and so on, each room is equipped with a Bose music system. So here's the hotel overlooking the river again. We've got a great swimming pool that you can take a dip in. The hotel itself has, well, depending on the time of the year, 6 or 7 restaurants, and the restaurants feature cuisines from all over the world. And in Cairo, we always include breakfast, we always include lunch. We don't include dinner because you just have so many options at the hotel that it just didn't make sense to include a dinner when, you know, everyone's tastes are different. We will have a welcome cocktail reception the evening of day 2, but besides that, you'll have your own chance to go wherever you want for dinner. You may even want to leave the hotel. There is, again, a fitness room there and a spa. Sometimes they'll have a small casino in the hotel at the same time. So basically, you come to Cairo, and we'll take you to the hotel. You're going to be 3 nights at the Four Seasons. And what are we going to do in Cairo? Well, the first thing we're going to do is you'll get a good night's sleep, and then on day 2, we're going to head to the Egyptian Museum. And this museum has been around since 1902. And this features the world famous King Tut mask. The mask itself was founded in 1925. And King Tut, he ruled Egypt for 10 years from 1332 BC to 1322 BC. And a lot of people don't realize this, but King Tut, he died at the age of 19. And so he became king of Egypt when he was 9 years old. So we're going to go to the Egyptian Museum. You'll get a tour of the museum, and then you'll have time to explore on your own. Now in Egypt, there's a brand new museum opening up. It's called the Grand Museum, and it was supposed to open up last year and it didn't. And then they said this year and it didn't. Now they're saying it'll open next year. And if it does open next year, it's a much bigger museum. We will go to that museum, but you'll also get to see King Tut treasures in that museum. After we kind of spent like maybe a half a day at the museum, we're going to head down to the Khan El Kahili market. This is where all the artisans, craftsmen, this is where they sell their wares and they reside. It's kind of an artsy area. And this is also an area where there's a lot of different coffee shops. And so we're going to tour the marketplace, do a walking tour of the area, and we're also going to have lunch down here in the market. And we're going to visit a coffee house. Coffee houses in Cairo have been around since like 1750, way before Starbucks came out in the 1990s. They were going to coffee houses in Cairo, you know, 300 or 400 years ago. And we are actually going to have lunch at a coffee house. It's really a restaurant, but they do call it a coffee house. And online and stuff like that, when you look at the reviews of this place, it often is rated as one of the top places to eat in Cairo. So we have a great lunch down there, and then we'll tour around the marketplace. And those are asking, well, what do they wear in Egypt? Well, here's a sample of these these smocks that they kind of wear to protect their bodies from the sun, and often they're white. So anyways, we'll spend some time in the market. We're going to head back to the hotel. We'll have an evening cocktail reception. Everyone get to meet each other, and then you're off on your own for the evening. And then on the third day, we're going to go visit the pyramids. And the pyramids themselves, they were the tallest structures in the world up until the 14th century. Tallest one at about almost 500 feet, 488 feet. Pyramids are tombs, so pharaohs or kings are entombed at the base of all these pyramids. A lot of people ask, when were they built? Probably around 2500 BC. And how long did it take to build the pyramids? Maybe 10 to 20 years, depending on the pyramid. When we visit the pyramids, a lot of people ask, well, can you go inside? And the answer is sometimes. And I've been inside them, and to get inside, the passageways are very narrow. You've got to crawl through sometimes. You've got to hunch over. Sometimes you've got to back up facing backwards. So they're not open all the time. And when they are open, they'll charge you $25 to go in and see a tomb. It's not really necessary to go inside these pyramids because we're going to visit tombs later on in the trip. But if you want to, and if they're open, it'll cost you $25. The other thing about, often we're asked, is camel rides. If you're going to do a camel ride, this is where you would do it. We don't include the camel ride for several reasons. Camels aren't even native to Egypt, but they are a symbol of Egypt. So if you do want to do a camel ride, costs around $15 US, and they'll walk you around a little bit for about 10, 12 minutes, and then you get a picture of the camel with its owner, and then you're on your way. So it is possible. Also, another cool thing here is the Sphinx, and the Sphinx itself is built around 2500 BC, and this Sphinx is, the head is of a king and the body is of a lion, and this king was King Khafre. Pardon my pronunciation if I don't say it right. The Sphinx itself took about 3 years to build, and what makes it really kind of cool is that this Sphinx was carved out of one stone. Another neat thing we're going to do is we're going to have lunch at a place called the Mena House. And the lunch itself overlooks the pyramids. The Mena House itself was built back in 1860. It was a hunting lodge, and hunters from Europe used to come down to this part of the Nile on the delta and stuff and hunt for hippopotamus and crocodiles and stuff like that, but they aren't around anymore. And the lodge itself has been preserved. They've actually added on a new wing and stuff. But so we'll visit the lodge, beautiful place, and have an outdoor lunch or maybe indoor, depending on the heat that day. But you will be overlooking the pyramids, and you'll have a 5-star lunch. All right, so what I'm going to say is after lunch, we are going to go visit a couple of churches and synagogues in Cairo. And when we're in Cairo, people do ask, how do we dress? How do you dress to visit these churches and synagogues? Well, actually, you can dress as you feel most comfortable. The only time you'll be asked to wear something that covers the knees is when we visit one synagogue in Cairo. The other thing I want to point out is that the AmaDahlia holds 68 guests, but we're going to split the ship into 3 groups, and every 20 to 23 guests will have their own Egyptologist that'll be with you from the beginning of the trip right through until the last day. And so there'll be 3 Egyptologists, and on top of the Egyptologist, we'll have an AMA tour director or cruise director who will oversee the whole program and the Egyptologist. So even though you're with a group of 68, it's still small group touring and walking. Like your 20 will be in one coach when we're out to see the pyramids, another 20 will be in a different coach. So it is still small group. And also when we're touring, especially outside and stuff, we'll always include headsets. So anyways, we had our third night in Cairo. The next morning, we're going to head back to the airport and we're going to fly down to Luxor. And here's a picture of Luxor. It's an Arabic word meaning fortress, city of about 500,000. And so we're going to fly to Luxor in the morning, we'll get there in the late morning, and then we're going to transfer you. We'll take you, everyone will head over to the ship, have a nice lunch, get settled in. Again, we have our own private dock, so you won't be walking in Luxor over boat, over boat, over boat. And people do ask, what about security in Egypt? Well, we always have a security guard with each coach, and we also have a security on board, and also, you know, out on the dock and so on. So in terms of security, we've got it covered. So first thing we're going to do in Luxor is later on that afternoon, we'll visit Luxor Temple. And this temple itself, built of sandstone around 1400 BC, built by order of King Ramses II. And a lot of people ask, well, what about the walkings of all these temples? There is a lot of walking on these trips. If you're mobility, if you're challenged somewhat, it isn't the best place to go to, simply because these temples, you know, they were built 2500 BC, 1000 BC, and that's the way they are today. They haven't touched them, and so there's no hand railings, there's no seats to sit down. So you've got to be able to stand for 1 to 2 hours, because that's how long each tour takes of the temples that you're going to see and tombs along the Nile. There are some places where, you know, maybe, you know, we can get a wheelchair or something and push along and stuff like that. But for the most part, if there are any mobility challenges, you may have to miss some of the temples. There's simply no way to get through there. But in general, think about walking tour of anywhere from 1 hour to 2 hours. Another cool temple that we'll visit is called the, I always have a hard time pronouncing this, the Temple of Queen Hatshepsut. And I've never been able to pronounce it correctly. I don't know Arabic. And I called Magdi one day, my Cairo con. I said, Magdi, every time I try to say that word, I can't get it. And he said to me, just think of hot chicken soup, and that's how you pronounce it. So we're going to visit the Temple of Queen Hot Chicken Soup. And Queen Hot Chicken Soup, she ruled Egypt for about 20 years. She was an incredibly strong, powerful leader. And you think about it that, you know, Egypt had women leaders, you know, 2500 BC. And for us to get a woman prime minister, president, governor, whatever, it's a big deal in the news. It wasn't a big deal in those days. And she was strong, she was fierce. And if you see her, a lot of her statues today, you know, sometimes she has a beard, sometimes she has incredibly broad shoulders, muscles, because they perceived her as strong like a man. Okay, one of the cool things that we do on this trip that I don't know anybody else that does it actually, we're going to go visit the Queen Nefertari tomb. Queen Nefertari, she was, you know, the first wife of King Ramses. She was probably considered the most beautiful. She was well educated. She could read, she could write. And she married King Ramses when she was 13, he was 15. She lived until the rightful age of about 45. They don't know exactly the age. And in those days, living to 45 was like living to 115 today. But what's even more remarkable, you get mixed messages, but King Ramses lived, some say up to 90 years old, and others say around 65. But either or, in the hundreds, if it was in today's ages. Queen Nefertari, her tomb, it's never really been accessed by the public. They kind of really opened it a little bit back in the 1980s, on and off, on and off. It's an incredibly colorful tomb. And let's throw another picture of it. Why don't other companies or every cruise companies include the tomb? It's because this is really an exclusive place to go into. And just to walk, well, you can't walk up, but to get in here, it's costing us about $135 per person just to go into this tomb. And that's why most companies won't include it, but it is included on the AmaTrip. You know, and when you go in here, you'll find poetry that's been written on the wall by King Ramses. Absolutely spectacular and unique tomb to visit. And to be one of the few people ever to get to see this. Another kind of, I put this tomb of Temple of Horus in Edfu in simply because I just thought it was kind of cool. How did they find this place? It was founded back, they found this temple back in 1860 by a French archaeologist, and he was just out digging around in the sand and stuff, and he came across some hard stone with his shovel or whatever, or pick, and then he kept going and going and going, and he came and found this massive temple. But this temple, when he was digging, he was actually on top of a sand dune. He didn't even know it existed. Slowly but surely, they finally took it apart, and they found out, they saw this temple. So that's the Temple of Horus. Okay, here's something interesting. Here's the Nile River again. And one thing I'd like to point out on the Nile is temples tend to be on the east side, tombs on the right side. And why are tombs on the right side, on the west side? And why are tombs on the west side? Basically because the sun sets in the west, time of the evening, you know, the end of the day, or the end of the day, sun sets in the west, life ends in the west. So they tie it with the end of the day, end of life. And the way to get around on the Nile mostly is the locals get around on feluccas, and you'll also get the opportunity to ride a felucca. Here's another cool thing that we're going to do that we do it differently. We're going to visit a Nubian village. And who are the Nubians? Well, they actually settled in this part of the world, southern Egypt, northern Sudan, about 8,000 years ago, and they came from the middle of the Sahara Desert. They're kind of like the indigenous here in the United States, or up in Canada, the First Nations, and they've been here for like 8,000 years. They kind of got displaced back in the late 50s, early 60s. They built a big dam on the Nile, and much of their land was going to be covered by a lake, and they got displaced, but they settled on these islands in the middle of the Nile. And so we're going to visit one of the Nubian villages. And if you look at their homes, they're known for their colorful homes. They're known for their archery. And if you look at this home here, yeah, there's a lot of carvings, drawings, stuff like that. Well, actually, that's telling the story of their family. So it's really, really kind of cool. It's a picture of the local Nubians. And all the villages tend to have a little local market, spice market and stuff. Well, yeah, companies do go, cruise companies, they'll go visit a Nubian village. You'll hang out for a half an hour, and then you head back to the boat and have lunch. We're just going to take it a step deeper, and we're going to go visit Hessa, the village, a Nubian village. We'll tour the village, we'll meet the locals, but we'll also have lunch with them in the village. So we spend more time in the village, and you get to sample their local foods and stuff like that. So it's a really great local experience. And I've just learned, and you know, when people travel, yes, you'll get to see the pyramids, you get to see the temples. This part of Egypt is, you see all these amazing sights, but when you come home, you start talking about the people that you met. So it's kind of an exciting thing. You know, as a product guy, and I've worked for different tour companies and cruise companies and stuff, I traveled a lot. And I also have to put Egypt in like the top 3 destinations. I've been to like 80 something countries, and Egypt is in the top 3. And absolutely an amazing place. And if you ask, you're not supposed to say this. I read this sometime, but if the top country I think I've ever been to is Myanmar. Number 2 would probably be Antarctica, but I still got a lot of places to go. All right, another neat thing that we're doing on this trip is there's a place called Abu Simbel. This Abu Simbel is located 200 miles south of Aswan, and to get there, you got to get on a plane. And I remember the first time that I saw Abu Simbel, the feeling I got inside of my heart, or inside me, was the same as the first time I saw the pyramids, first time you see the Great Wall, first time you see Angkor Wat or something. You get this with Abu Simbel, because I had no idea what was going to happen here. And so Abu Simbel was built by King Ramses II, built maybe around 1300 BC. And what makes this place incredibly unique is that they built the Aswan Dam in the late 1950s, early 1960s. And as the water started to fill up, a lake was formed. The Nubians had to move out, and also the lake, Nasser it's called, was going to cover Abu Simbel. So the government took the temple apart piece by piece by piece, moved it up the hill about 600 feet, and now you see this incredible temple. And look at the doorway there, and you look at the hallway here. But if you're in this part of the world on October 22nd or February 22nd, the sun rises from the east. The first rays that come over the landscape will shine directly through that doorway and come out the other side of Abu Simbel. Kind of cool. And the reason I put this in here is because it's always an optional trip to Abu Simbel. And usually you wait till you get on the ship, and then they'll sell it on board and say, who wants to go to Abu Simbel? And then people say, yeah, I do, but they find out then they can't go because the number of people that go to Abu Simbel is limited to the size of the plane. Remember what I said, you got to fly down there. Usually the planes are like 737s, Egypt Air. And so there's all these different boats on the river trying to sell into these flights down to Abu Simbel. So in order for our guests not to be disappointed, and you'll be able to pre-book it before you go. So we're working with the airlines in Egypt that will block our seats. And so you can book this optional trip before you go. So you don't have to worry about it once you're on the ship, whether you're going to be able to go see Abu Simbel or not. I would say probably about 80% of you will want to go see Abu Simbel, maybe a little more. We don't include it simply because of the price. I guess in 2021, it'll be $325 for the round trip airfare and the tour. You spend about a half a day down there. And I think in 2022, it's about $345. So it's just a tip. Abu Simbel, it's worth seeing. It's, again, something that'll stay with you for the rest of your life, just like when you see the pyramids for the first time. Okay, another cool temple that we visited on the way. I'm just pointing out some of them. I'm not pointing out everything. Is Kaombo, and it was built around 330 BC. Kaombo is dedicated to Sobek, the crocodile god, and Horus, who's the falcon god. And if you look at this temple, you kind of see in the middle, there's a doorway on the left and a doorway on the right, and one is for Sobek and the other one is for Horus. And what makes this place kind of interesting is, like I said, Horus or Sobek was the crocodile god. You'll find a lot of crocodile mummies in this area. All right, one of the final temples we'll visit is Karnak Temple. This is the largest temple in the world, so this is where you'll probably end up doing a 2-hour walking tour of the temple. Consists of several temples, covers about 250 acres, 2,000 years old. So here's the Karnak Temple, the famous temple. Oh, the other thing I should know is a lot of people ask about light shows, evening light shows in temples and stuff. They are available in Luxor and Aswan. We don't include it simply because the light shows usually have to head off to the temple around 5 o'clock and get back. You don't come back till 8 or 8:30. And because that's over dinner time, a lot of people want to have a set dinner at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. So we don't include it. But if you do want to go to a sound and light show at one of the temples, we can arrange it. They're not expensive, anywhere from $25 to $45. Here's another interesting temple I put in. This is the last one I will put in as the Temple of Hathor. Probably the best preserved temple anywhere in Egypt, built about 2,000 years ago. 3 temples, and what makes this temple kind of special is that there are a lot of pools and sacred pools in and around this temple. The Egyptians were swimming 3,000 years ago or 2,500 years ago, kind of like the lifestyles of the rich and famous and stuff, but they had their own pools. You can't do this now. All the pools are filled up with rock, but it's interesting to see what the Egyptians were doing, 2,500 years ago. Okay, so after 7 nights on the Nile, we're going to fly back to Cairo for a night. And if you go to Europe or Asia and stuff like that, you see a lot of churches, plazas, stuff like that. And after 7 nights or so, 7 days of traveling, and you've seen all these different places, maybe, yeah, you're going to go visit the church again on day 7, a separate one, but it'd be nice to see something different. And so what we've done is fly back to Cairo, and rather than going to another temple or church and so on, we're going to go to the Presidential Palace. And this is called the Abdeen Palace. built in 1873, and President lives here. This is where dignitaries come when they come to visit Egypt. They'll stay here. There's museums within the palace, a massive collection of clocks and old artwork, historical gifts that have been given to the president. And you'll get a tour of part of the palace. We can't do the whole thing. Again, this is an exclusive visit because of the cost to go in here. It's just outrageous. But we just think it's nice, something new to show our guests a different side of Egypt. And we'll also take it one step above that, is we'll also have a private lunch in the palace. And because this is the second to last day, we'll call this our farewell lunch rather than have an evening party or something like this. It's just, it's really a spectacular place. And let me see, hang on a sec. Here's a, as we tour, you'll see scenes like this. And so we'll have a beautiful lunch there, kind of a farewell celebratory lunch. And then we'll visit Old Cairo on the way back to the hotel later that afternoon. The UNESCO World Heritage Site, a lot of Roman ruins that date back to about the 10th century. And then we'll get back to the Four Seasons for your last night, probably around 5 o'clock. And we don't schedule anything for the last night because most of the flights back to North America leave early in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm even at 4:30, maybe 8 a.m. on some. And so we just feel it's better to sort of lay low the last night, get your bags ready, get a good night's sleep, and then we'll transfer you right back to the airport in the morning for your flight back to North America. Most of the flights back to North America will be via Europe. All right, so that's our 12-day trip of Egypt, but you can do things before and after the trip, and I'll, watching my time, I'll just quickly go through them for you. One of them is Jordan. This is our most popular extension. You can go to Jordan 4 nights before you join the Egypt trip. And you're gonna fly into Amman, Jordan. Amman is a very old city, historic city. In fact, statues in the city itself date back to 7,000 years ago. It's a city of about 4 million people. A beautiful historic old section, and the hotel you'll stay in for 2 nights is the St. Regis Amman, one of the top hotels, 5-star hotels in Amman. And what's even better is that currently it's under renovation. So when we start visiting there in September of 2021, it'll be brand new. And so you're going to do 2 nights in Amman and 2 nights in Petra. So in Amman, you'll arrive, we'll meet you at the airport. You need a visa for Jordan, but we take care of that, and we'll give you your visa on arrival in Jordan. You don't need to worry about that. Here's a picture of the rooms at the St. Regis. And then on our second day in Jordan, we will have an old historic tour of the old part of Amman, and then we're going to visit a place called Jerash, built around the 2nd century by the Romans. And you can kind of see the historic Colosseum there. This is about 30 miles outside of Amman. And we'll also have lunch that day in an old historic castle restaurant. And then you're going to head down about 4 hours south is Petra. And we all know the site from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where I think when the ball came rolling down. And Petra is, again, a once-in-a-lifetime place to visit. It's been around since about the 3rd century. But it was abandoned. And why was the folks here, they abandoned it? Mainly because the city survived on an incredible aquaculture water coming down from the mountains. They had these canals coming down from the ditches coming down from the mountains where there was snow to give them water. But eventually, because of a massive drought, the water dried up and they had to leave the place. It actually wasn't discovered again until rediscovered by a Swiss explorer back in 1812, and it became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985. The hotel we're going to stay at in Petra, we spend a full day at the temple, is the Old Village Resort. And you've been used to like 5-star service in Cairo, the Four Seasons, Amman, if you go there, you get the beautiful St. Regis, but we've done something a little different here, is we're going to stay at the Old Village Resort. And it's not a 5-star hotel, it's more of a 4-star hotel. and you can just look at it. But what makes it really unique is it's kind of built into the rock landscape there. You can see it's very hot here, and so you can kind of see the rooms. They had kind of a cool effect with the rocks and so on. And what actually makes it even more special is that it's owned by the locals. The folks that live here, the village here, they own this hotel. It's a 4-star hotel. And to tell you how local it is, they don't even have an alcohol license. So when you have dinner here, you can't have beer or wine, but that's the way it is there. Yeah, there's an international Marriott there or a Movipick, but we decided that we thought this was just a way to get back to the community, I guess. And honestly, if you go on TripAdvisor and stuff, look at this hotel. It's still rated the best hotel in Petra. Kind of cool. Okay, another option you can do before the trip, you can either do Jordan or you can do Dubai. Dubai is a really special or unique place. The architecture, you can see it is phenomenal. It can be like out of this world. It can be cheesy. It's really different, but it's a city that came from nowhere, and it's, you know, one of the major players in the world today. And it's over 680 hotels just in Dubai. Hotel we're going to use is the Marriott, JW Marriott. And again, look at the architecture here. It's kind of cool. These are the rooms. And what we do in Dubai for 3 nights, we'll meet you on the first day, take you to the hotel. The next day, we'll do a city tour of Dubai. Maybe you'll have a free time in the afternoon, and then we're going to head out into the desert later in the afternoon and tour the sand dunes. And we also will have dinner out in the sand dunes. It's a local meal, and kind of give you an idea of what the pictures look like and stuff, you know, Mideastern food and stuff like that. And so I should tell you, it's kind of funny that when I was in Dubai, last time I was there, it was July, incredibly hot, 117 or 18 degrees. And I was with our guide there hanging out, and I said, I can't take this heat anymore. And we go somewhere. He goes, let's go to the mall and you can cool down and stuff like that. And remember, we don't go here in July. So I said, I'm not really in the malls. He goes, let's just go to the mall. So we went to the mall and we walked in, and this is how outrageous Dubai can be, is that I walked in and there was a ski mountain or ski slope inside the mall. So instead of working, I skipped lunch. We went skiing for the afternoon in Dubai inside a building when it was 118 degrees outside. So it's just these things that you see. Again, it's just crazy what they can do there. Another cool thing we'll do is visit the Zayed Grand Mosque, and this is in Abu Dhabi, about 80 kilometers southwest of Dubai. So we'll visit Dubai, the city of Dubai, but we'll also visit Abu Dhabi. And then this Abu Dhabi, this mosque looks beautiful, stunning, but it's new. It was built about 1985. But if you were here on a Friday, and we're there on a Thursday, you would witness 40,000 worshipers in this plaza. So that's 3 nights in Dubai. The other option is you can go to Israel at the end of the trip, and it's 4 nights in Jerusalem. So we'll fly from Cairo to Tel Aviv. We'll tour Tel Aviv in the historic area of Jaffa, and then we'll drive up to Jerusalem. It's about an hour outside of Tel Aviv. And we've kind of made it a little different. You know, if you're, your faith is really important to you, Christianity and stuff, you're probably going to go to Israel for 10 days, 2 weeks. You have a Jewish history and it's really important to you, you may go to Israel for 10 days or 2 weeks. But we're not doing that. We're only going for 4 days. And so we decided to give a taste of everything in Tel Aviv. Like, we'll visit Bethlehem, we'll see the tomb of King David, we'll visit the Jewish quarter, but we'll also visit the local farmers market and have a local meal in the farmers market and stuff like that. So we kind of touch on everything during your 4 nights in Jerusalem. The hotel we stay at is the Waldorf Astoria, 5-star hotel in the heart of Jerusalem. And you can see the rooms here. And one more thing that we do that's different, to get a taste of the region, is we're going to head outside of Jerusalem for 1 day. We're going to visit Masada. It's an ancient fortress. Masada means, it's a Hebrew word meaning strong foundation. It was a fortress built around 30 BC by King Herod, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So we're going to visit the top of Masada. The kings and so on back in the old day, they used this place as a retreat, you know, kind of like a getaway. And you can look now, if you look just to the left-hand side on the way up, you can kind of see a black structure sort of thing on the side of Masada. That's actually a cable car. And to get to the top of Masada, excuse me, you've got to take a cable car. So we'll take the cable car up, we'll explore Masada, but also take a look over into the left-hand side and you'll see some water out there. So when we leave Masada, we're going to head down to the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea is the lowest elevation in the world. I don't know, it's a kind of a place that we all hear about, but very few people get to go. And what we hear about it is that it's a place where you can go swimming, but it's impossible to sink. And so you'll get the opportunity, if you want to go for a swim in the Dead Sea. That's not me, but those that don't go in the Dead Sea, sorry, that's not me in the picture, that's what I meant. But if you don't go in the sea for a swim, we're staying at a beautiful resort. We'll have lunch on the Dead Sea. And I do know, like, if you go to spas and stuff here in the States now, you know, you'll find salts from the Dead Sea or mud from the Dead Sea and stuff like that. Maybe someone will want to get a spa treatment, you know, quick one. Otherwise, but we will have lunch down on the Dead Sea. And then we'll head back to Jerusalem for one more night. And then the next day, back to the airport in Tel Aviv, and you can fly home. So that's Israel. And anybody want questions and answers, or how we want to do this? Marcy?
Okay, no, I want to go.
Okay.
No, I have to tell you, there's been so many times. I've been to a lot of those places, and Israel is one of my favorite places on earth. So I really hope when you pick and choose Egypt that you will consider Israel as part of that venture. I had one question for you that came through, and that was, how long is the flight from Cairo to Luxor?
Oh, 1 hour, 60 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well, if you do have questions, you can certainly type them in under the chat, and we will have someone within the travel advisors at Cruise Holidays that will be in touch with you to get you the exact answers that you need. But most of all, I just want to say thank you so much for taking this journey with us tonight. Thank you, Todd, for taking us on the journey. It was delightful. And we look forward to hosting you on the beautiful AmaDahlia. And if you, again, have any questions, please contact Cruise Holidays. They have all the information and they have the ability to reach us at any time. Thank you, everyone. Please be safe, and we will see you traveling soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.